Hey friends, Christy here over at Crafty Christy's Creations, and today I'm going to show you how to make your own burlap banner like the one I made here for fall. So we're going to do this from scratch, so let's jump on into Silhouette Studio and get started. Alright, so here we are in Silhouette Studio. I'm going to start off by making the banner. We're going to grab our rectangle tool, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle. And we want this rectangle to be 4 inches wide and 5 inches tall. Five inches tall, 4 inches wide. Okay. Let's go ahead and give this a nice fill color. We're going to cut this out of burlap, so let's make this a nice brown color so we can see what this is going to look like. And now I'm going to bring it down so you can see the lines in the background, and then we're going to zoom in Control and plus. And we're just going to line it up on those lines right there the best that we can. Actually, what we can do is we can align to the left and then align to the top. And that is going to get us lined up in the very top left corner of our mat. And then now we've got these lines here. So what we're going to do is we're going to double tap and get our point editing tool. And then you can see you've got some little points here, and I'm going to add a third one right here in the middle. So I'm just going to bring this arrow and the dash right here and click. And then what I'm going to do is just click on that little square, and I'm going to bring it right to the center here. So we basically just took the center of our rectangle and brought it up 1 inch. And now we can zoom out, Control and negative or minus. And now that is what our banner is going to look like. If you like all of these shortcuts that I'm using on my keyboard, check out craftychristyscreations.com/silhouette shortcuts to print out a copy of your own keyboard shortcuts so that you can design quickly like I am without having to right click and find all the different buttons that you need to get your work done. So again, that's craftychristyscreations.com/silhouette shortcuts. Okay, so now we've got our banner made. And then I'm going to make this a fall banner, but the next thing we need to do is add the little circles that are going to be cutouts for our little string to go through. So again, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab my ellipse tool, and I'm going to hold down Shift and Alt to get a perfect circle. And I want this circle, I'm going to lock my ratio aspect, and I want this to be 0.25. And we will give that a fill color so we can easily see what we're doing. And then I'm going to bring this over, and I'm going to use the little white squares that are around my object. That's your selection. And I'm just going to line those up to the edge and to the top edge. And now I've got that kind of where I want it. I'm going to hold down the Alt or Option key on a Mac to get this plus sign, and we're going to drag a copy to the other side. And I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to put that those white squares kind of to the edge and then to that top edge. And I'm going to try to get them as, as precise as I can. That looks pretty good. And now I can grab both of these circles and we can align them to the bottom to each other. All right, that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to go ahead and rubber band select everything. We'll come over to our modify panel, and I'm going to subtract. And that is our banner. Now it's got the holes already in it. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and just type out our word, and I'm going to do happy fall, and let's do all capital letters. Okay, we'll select that again, and I'm going to select my font, and I'm using Mr. Rabbit. I like that. Let's go ahead and give it a fill color. And then again, holding down Shift and Alt, I'm going to enlarge that. And then to make sure that it's going to be the right size, what I'm going to do is right click and I'm going to make it a compound path. And that makes it a tight box around all my letters. And then I'm going to leave my ratio aspect locked up here, and I want this to be 3.5 inches tall. So now each letter is 3.5 inches tall, and I think that'll fit nicely on there. So now we need to take this and we're going to mirror our design because I'm going to cut this out of heat transfer vinyl. So we'll mirror that, and then we can take the original and delete it. So I was planning on cutting out my banner out of burlap. However, that didn't cut very well on my machine. So I'm going to make a cardstock template out of this, and then I'm just going to trace it on the burlap. So we'll cut this one out of cardstock, and then I'm going to cut all of this out of heat transfer vinyl. And you can see it's way too big to fit on one piece. And because I'm going to cut each letter separately, what I can do is I can now come in here and release my compound path. And you can see that that does each letter separately. And now I can come in and I can rubber band select these. And now I can make this a compound path. So that'll fit. And then I can come through here. I can grab all of these, make them a compound path. That should fit on another line. And then if we scroll over, all we have left is our H. And I can just select that and pull that over and it'll fit right there. So now we've got that done. And then I'm going to make an extra one here to put a little design in the middle. So I'm going to pull in my one of my leaves. So I'm just going to go over to my leaf files. And then I'm going to select this leaf right here, Control C to copy, Control V to paste it over here. We can change the color to the yellow so it matches. And then with my ratio aspect locked, I can make that 3.5 inches tall as well. Let's make sure that's going to fit. And it does. And then I can add that on here as well. And then everything is mirrored, and now we can go ahead and go to our send panel. And we're going to cut this out of heat transfer vinyl. And then you can see it's got all the cut lines on there, so we're ready to go. So we'll grab the right material type, and then we can go ahead and send it to the machine. All right, so I've got Dandelion iron-on vinyl from, this is Joann brand. So here we go. And we're going to put, looks like we need just a 12 by 12 piece on here. So I'm going to go ahead and try to measure out a 12 by 12. And then we'll use our little slicer piece here that it comes with. Let's see if I can't get a straight line going here. Okay, not really straight, but it'll work. All right, so remember, this says to put the backing, let's see, it's got directions in here. So we mirrored our design, so that way it'll read the correct way. And this says, place the heat transfer vinyl liner side down on the cutting mat. So the liner is this backing piece. So you want the color up. So we're going to put the liner side down. And take my protective sheet off of there. And then I'm just going to get this added to my mat. maybe. Sometimes it's hard when it's been in a roll. I kind of reverse roll it a little bit. And then I can roll it down, smooth it out. Now, this is the first time that I am using this vinyl. So I am going to end up doing a test cut. So to do my test cut, I'm going to do that in this bottom corner down here so I can pull it out, see how it looks, and then put it back in. So I'll get this put in the machine. And then, okay, so I'm going to test out using the vinyl, the heat transfer flocked setting, which means a cut of 3. So I'm using my ratchet blade. I'll get that loaded in here. And then what I'm going to do is just do a test. So to do a test, I'm going to come down to the arrows and I'm going to go all the way down. And then I'm going to go to the far corner. And I'm going to do a test right there. So I'll let it run a test. Where's my blade? Okay, we'll let that come out. All right, I'm going to use my little weeding tool here, and I'm going to leave the triangle and see if I can pick up the square. And if I can easily do that, then that means that we have good settings there. And you know what? I didn't realize there is a clear top on top of this. So I've actually put this on my mat the wrong direction. So we're going to go ahead and unload. This is why you're always supposed to check. I didn't realize there was a clear backing on the top of this. So we're going to take this off. We're going to load this the correct way on our mat, which is going to be the colored side down. So the carrier sheet, which is what is on the bottom there. We'll load it this direction. Okay, and I can still see where I just did that test cut. And what I'm going to do to my design is just move my leaf over to the other side. So now when it cuts, my leaf will be in this corner. So that way I can continue doing test cuts in this same corner that I had already just tried one. So we'll load this in. All right, so again, I'm going to do a test cut. I'm going to leave the same settings. Down here. Whoops. A little too far. And then we'll go over. And we'll do a test cut right there. So again, it's going to draw a square with a triangle inside of it. Let that come out. And again, I'm going to try to peel up that square and leave the triangle. And you want to make sure that it didn't go all the way through. And it didn't go all the way through the carrier sheet. And so now here is my little rectangle with the triangle in it that came out perfectly, and the other pieces stayed. So that tells me I'm using the correct settings for this material. So now I'm going to go ahead, and that should be far enough over. We're going to go ahead and hit send. And then it's going to ask me, do you want to send as is, or do you need to mirror our design? We've already mirrored it, so we're going to send as is. Okay, so now it is cutting our vinyl for us. Okay, so it is done cutting. We'll go ahead and unload that. And then we're going to pull out, I've got my really thick cardstock here that I'm going to use to cut out my template to cut on the burlap. So let me grab my, I've got different mats for my different materials to help them last longer. So let me pull out my paper mat. So here's the mat that I use for my paper. We'll go ahead and get this loaded on here. And then we'll go ahead and load this into the machine. I'm using the same ratchet blade because I couldn't find the one I used for vinyl. And I'm going to come over back to my machine. And now I'm going to take all of my letters off of my mat. And I'm going to bring my banner onto my mat. And then we're going to go ahead and send that. And I'm using heavyweight cardstock, and it's going to be the heavy cover stock, so the 105 to 122 pound. So that is a blade of 7 on the ratchet blade. And we'll go ahead and let that cut. And it's going to cut the outside, and I am going to go ahead and let it just cut the circles as well. And while that's cutting, we can go ahead and start weeding our design. I'm gonna start, I like to leave it on my mat. And it looks like I'm a little off on the edges there, but that's okay. Just gonna grab a little piece here. These big letters are super easy. And you can see here is the one that I messed up, on the other side here is the one that I did. I'm going to go ahead and just call all of this done, and we'll just get rid of all this extra. I'm not going to worry about saving a couple inches on the bottom there. And I'm doing this while I'm still on my mat. I feel that helps it keep your design in place while you're weeding everything. And heat transfer vinyl is what I think is a lot easier to weed because it's not sticky. See if you can grab this edge. All right, we'll read the outside of our leaf. Okay, there's the letters. Our banner is done cutting. So let's go ahead and take this out here. And then what we're going to do with this, get my little scraps off of here. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take my little template. I will line it up here. And then we'll get a marker, and then we'll go ahead and just trace that, and then we can cut it out. A Sharpie marker here, I'm just going to run on the edge. And then it's okay, you know, if our little stencil gets marker on it. And then while we're here, we can also go ahead and just mark out our circles. And I'm thinking that should be about the size as a hole punch. We can try to do that. So now you can see here is one of my banners. And then I'm gonna scoot over a little bit, and then I can go ahead and do another one. Okay, and we'll punch out our little circles again. All right, so there is 2 of them. I'll go ahead and cut these out and show you what this is gonna look like. And to cut, I've got my little corner piece here, and then I'm gonna use my ruler to help me make a nice straight edge. And then I'm just gonna cut. And I'm on my self-healing mat. Okay, so we've got that one. You can go ahead and turn. And I want to cut on the inside of this black line. Got that. Turn it this direction. Okay. And then we're going to come and do this edge here. Okay, so there's one. And let's go ahead and cut out our other one. So again, I'm going to be on the inside of my black line I just drew. Okay. Okay, so there's that. So now we've got our 2 little banners, and as you can see, we've still got the holes there for our letters. So I'm going to go ahead and continue cutting out all of these pieces, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how we're going to use the heat transfer vinyl. All right, I've got all my little burlap pieces cut out here. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to start pressing them. So this is iron-on vinyl, and I don't have a mini easy press. I'm going to go ahead and use my iron. It says to do on fabric setting. And then what I'm going to do is just place a few of these on here. We'll get them set up. I've got my iron heating up already. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut out the a couple of these little letters and my little pieces here. And then we're going to press them one at a time. So I've got my little leaf, and then I'm just going to center it on my design here. And I think I want it to be a falling leaf and a little bit crooked. And I can just set that on there. And then I'm going to go through and do that with all of my pieces. Okay, I've got a couple of these sitting here. We're going to go ahead and give these a little bit of a preheat. And I'm just going to hit it to warm it up. This is going to help the material stick to it. I am on the cotton setting. Okay, and then I've just cut, here's one of the letters, here's an A. I'm just gonna kind of eyeball a spot for that. I'll set that on here, and then I've got my leaf, and I'm gonna do that kind of upside down like it's falling. And then it says to press these on and give it a good medium pressure for about 30 or 40 seconds. So I've got it covered, and then I'm just gonna give some pressure here. Again, 30 to 40 seconds. This is what it says on the inside of the packaging. And then you wanna give this a cool peel. So we'll press on this side. Okay, and then it says to also press on the back. So we'll go ahead and flip it over. We'll give the back a good press. Again, this is iron-on vinyl. I do not have a, I think this would be a good project for an Easy Press Mini, but I'm gonna go ahead and just use my iron so I can do one at a time. And then we just wanna give this a little test, see if it's peeling off. And it doesn't seem like it's quite stuck down there. So I'm gonna lay that back down. And I'm just gonna hit it with some more time here. With this being, you know, kind of porous, it makes it a little bit more difficult. Okay, that looks pretty good. So it's still not completely stuck down. We'll go ahead and hit it again from the front. And then I am gonna flip this over and I'll hit it from the back as well. But again, you know, this is porous material. There's not a lot of spots for that heat transfer vinyl to stick to, because this is, the burlap is kind of spaced further apart than some. But this will work out just fine. Okay, and there is our A. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing now over here. A good 30 seconds here on the front, and then we'll hit it on the back for probably another 10 seconds. And then we'll do a little test peel to see what it looks like. Okay. And let's go ahead and flip it over and hit it from the back. All right. So I did 30 on the front and 30 on the back. Let's give it a little test peel. And this is a very intricate design. So this one might be a little bit more difficult. Okay, so it didn't quite stick down very well. You know, there's not a lot of places for it to make contact. We're gonna go ahead and cover this up again. And I'm gonna hit it with another probably 10, 15 seconds here. Again, this, you know, this burlap is very porous. So there's not a lot of places for an intricate design to make contact, which is why, you know, some of these are a little bit more difficult, like this leaf compared to just a full letter. But that looks really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue on. I'm gonna do 30 seconds on the front, flip it over, 30 seconds on the back, and then peel. And then I'll show you what they look like when we're done. Alrighty, so I have all of my pieces done. and they've got the little graphics put on. So now what I did was I just took a piece of, I've just got kind of this really thin jute, and I did an arm's length, and then I doubled it just so it's a little bit thicker because this is really thin. And I tried to hole punch in these little spots, and that didn't really work. So what we're going to do is I've got just a little screwdriver here, and I'm going to use that to kind of help separate the in these little holes so that I can feed the jute through. So let's go ahead and just set these up so we spell everything correctly. All right. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to start on my double-sided end. I think that's going to be easier. So this other end, I'm just going to go ahead and just tie a knot so that I don't lose anything here. And I'm just going to tie it kind of right towards the end there. All right, and then we can take that, find that perfect fold spot, and we'll fold that there. And since we're going to be passing things this way, we're going to start at the end. So we're going to start with our L. And I want this to go through the front, have most of the string come through the back, and then out the other side. So again, I'm just taking my little tool here to help make a little hole right where we punched, where we drew our little circle there. And then I'm going to, again, come through where my little hole is. And this is just helping me separate so that I can feed it through. I'm just going to put all these on here, and then we can kind of help space them out. So again, I'm just making a little hole with my tool. I'm coming through the front and then making that little hole through the back. So now you can see we've got the string is helping it hold up and down, but you don't see it from the front. So I'm going to continue doing this, and then I'll be back and we will carry on. All right, so here is our banner. As you saw, I did have to restring a few of these because it is coming unwound with the twine. So if you didn't want to spend the time and cutting out on actual burlap, you could certainly cut this out of paper and do like a digital paper that looks like burlap, and then just put your holes in there, and then either put on and then you could use just regular vinyl, or you could just cut out letters out of paper as well and put that on there. But that is how you can make a DIY burlap banner. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, click like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future Crafty Christy's Creations how-to videos. Until next time, with love, Crafty Christy.